The conference room fell silent. 12 people stared at me like I'd just committed a crime. "You're not needed anymore, Tiffany," Justin said, his voice sharp and deliberate. My younger brother, sat at the head of our family's conference table. His tie perfectly knotted, his smile cruel. "You've been dead weight on this company for months. Everyone here knows it." My hands trembled as I gripped the armrest of my chair. Heat flooded my face. "I think you should resign," he continued, leaning back, "before we have to fire you." Around the table, our cousins shifted uncomfortably. Uncle Peter avoided my eyes. Aunt Helen looked down at her notepad like it held the secrets of the universe. No one defended me. No one said a word. I'd given 8 years to Thompson Operations, our family business. 8 years of late nights, restructured supply chains, recovered lost clients, and mentorship I'd poured into Justin himself when he joined 3 years ago. I taught him everything. And this is how he repaid me. "I see," I managed, my voice steady even though my world was crumbling. I stood up slowly, pushed my chair in, and looked directly at my brother. "I'll have my letter of resignation on your desk by morning." His smirk widened. He thought he'd won. He had no idea what was coming. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I sat at my kitchen table with black coffee and a blank page, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. The letter had to be perfect. Not angry. Not emotional. Just truth. "Dear Justin. Effective immediately, I resign from my position as operations manager at Thompson Operations. I will transfer all active projects and passwords by end of business today. I hope you understand what you've just lost. Tiffany." I printed it on company letterhead, sealed it in an envelope, drove to the office before dawn and placed it on his desk chair where he'd find it first thing. Then I sat in my car in the parking lot and waited. By 7:45 a.m. my phone buzzed. Call from Justin. I didn't answer. By 8 a.m. he'd called 3 more times. Voicemail 1. "Tiff, don't be dramatic. We can work this out." Voicemail 2. "I was just testing you in that meeting. Come on." Voicemail 3, his voice cracked. Please call me back." By 8:15 a.m. his 6th call came through. This time his panic was audible, raw, real. "Tiffany, you don't understand what you're doing. Call me back. Call me back." I turned off my phone. Then, an hour later, my landline rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. "Is this Tiffany Thompson?" A woman's voice, professional and sharp. "Yes." "Who's calling?" "My name is Stephanie. I'm the CFO at Meridian Industries. We've been clients of Thompson Operations for 4 years. I need to speak with you about something urgent." My stomach dropped. Meridian Industries was our biggest account. 40% of our revenue. Of course. "What's wrong?" I asked, already knowing something was very wrong. "I received a financial report this morning, ostensibly from you," Stephanie said slowly. "It shows our Q3 inventory as meeting targets. But our physical audit shows we're short by nearly $180,000 in goods. When I called to ask for clarification, your brother told me you had approved the discrepancy." My mouth went dry. "He said you'd signed off on a redirect of funds to cover something. But Tiffany, I've been in this business for 20 years. Those numbers are fabricated. And your signature on the approval forms. I've compared it to previous documents. It's not even close." The room tilted. "Stephanie, I don't know anything about this. I resigned from Thompson Operations this morning." There was a long pause. "You resigned?" "Yes. As of today." Her voice changed. Colder. More careful. "Then we have a serious problem. Because if you didn't approve this, then your brother forged your signature on a document worth $180,000. Tiffany, we may need to involve legal authorities." I met with a lawyer that afternoon. Her name was Catherine Voss, and she had the kind of sharp eyes that didn't miss anything. "Let me get this straight," she said, sliding the fabricated approval form across her desk. "Your brother, as the current operations manager, submitted a report with your signature on it, claiming you approved a financial redirect. But you resigned this morning before this was discovered. Yes. And your signature is forged. Obviously. I didn't even know this report existed. Catherine leaned back in her chair. A small smile crossed her face. You did the smartest thing you possibly could have done, she said. By resigning before this came to light, you've protected yourself completely. The moment you quit, you severed your legal responsibility for any decisions made under Justin's authority. If you were still employed when Meridian discovered this, you could be implicated as a co-conspirator, even with forged documents. But Justin did this deliberately. Exactly. And now we have evidence. The question is, what do you want to do about it? I thought about Justin's smirk in that conference room. The way he humiliated me in front of the family. The 8 years I'd sacrificed. I want him to face consequences, I said quietly. Catherine's smile widened. Then let's be very careful about how we handle this. We need to document everything, build an airtight case, and let the facts do the talking. No anger. No revenge. Just truth. The next morning, Stephanie from Meridian called again. I spoke with our legal team, she said. We've confirmed the signature is forged. But more importantly, I did some digging into Thompson Operations' recent reports. Tiffany, your brother has submitted falsified data for 4 consecutive quarters. My heart raced. He's been hiding inventory shortages, inflating profit margins, and, get this, there are unauthorized withdrawals from the company account that don't match any legitimate expense. How much? I asked, though I wasn't sure I wanted to know. $340,000. Over a year. I sat down. Stephanie, I resigned yesterday because Justin told me I was dead weight in front of the entire company. He was planning to fire me anyway. I think he was setting me up to take the fall for this. Another pause. My God. Tiffany, thank you for answering that call. You just saved yourself. And you've helped us catch him. When this comes out, and it will come out, make sure you have legal representation. After we hung up, I opened my email. In my inbox sat a message from Meridian's internal auditor, dated that morning. Subject line. Evidence package. Attached were 4 folders. Falsified reports. Forged signatures. Bank statements showing unauthorized transactions. All tied to Justin's login credentials. All submitted under my name. I printed everything. 200 pages of evidence. Spreadsheets with his authorization codes highlighted in yellow. Email chains where he directed subordinates to alter numbers. Bank records showing the $340,000 diverted to accounts I'd never seen before. And my signature, forged on every critical document, like a mark he'd placed on me to frame me. My lawyer reviewed it all in silence. This is devastating, Catherine finally said. For him, I mean. This is actually perfect. Every piece of evidence is time-stamped. Every transaction can be traced. And most importantly, Meridian has independent corroboration that the reports were falsified. Justin can't claim this was a simple misunderstanding. What happens now? Yes. Now we wait. And we document. Make sure you have copies of your resignation letter. Keep records of the voicemails he left you. If the company tries to retaliate or pressure you, we'll have evidence of that too. I nodded, but my mind was already 3 steps ahead. Justin had underestimated me. He thought I'd panic, beg for my job back, maybe even take the blame to protect the family business. He didn't know I'd already checked every single one of his decisions over the past year. And I'd found much worse. 3 days later, an email arrived from Thompson Operations' internal auditor, a woman named Dorothy who'd worked with my father before he passed the business to our uncle. Subject: urgent discrepancies requiring review. Dorothy had been doing routine audits when she noticed something odd. Beginning 9 months ago, right after Justin took over day-to-day operations, the company's supply chain management shifted. Shipments that should have arrived didn't. Inventory numbers didn't match physical stock. And most damning, Justin had approved 6 major purchases that were never received. "Tiffany," Dorothy wrote, "I remember you overseeing these suppliers before. Can you help me understand why these invoices are marked as paid when the goods were never delivered?" The answer was simple. Justin had been embezzling. Not just the $340,000. The missing shipments represented another $200,000 in fraudulent transactions. He'd created dummy invoices, marked shipments as received when they weren't, and pocketed the difference. 8 years of work. 8 years of building relationships with vendors, establishing trust, creating a system that was supposed to prevent exactly this kind of fraud. And Justin had dismantled it in 9 months. Catherine called me into her office with an unusual request. "I need to ask you something," she said, "and I need you to think carefully before you answer." He nodded. "Do you want this to come out cleanly, or poetically?" "What do you mean?" "Cleanly means we report everything to the board immediately. Thompson Operations conducts an audit. Justin faces consequences. Case closed. It's professional. Safe. It protects you completely." She paused, letting that sink in. "Poetically means we give him rope. We let him panic. We let him dig himself deeper. We document every attempt he makes to cover this up, every lie he tells, every manipulation. And then we release the evidence in a way that makes it impossible for him to deny or minimize what he's done." I thought about that conference room. The way his eyes gleamed when he humiliated me. The casual cruelty of "your dead weight." "Poetically," I said. Catherine nodded slowly. "I was hoping you'd say that." I spent the next 2 weeks meticulously documenting everything. I created a master spreadsheet with columns for date, Justin's action, my finding, evidence, impact. Everything from the forged signature to the missing shipments to the unauthorized withdrawals appeared in chronological order. I cross-referenced bank statements with email requests. I matched authorization codes to specific transactions. I built a timeline so clear, so detailed, that even a child could understand exactly what Justin had done and when. I color-coded the fraud in red, the embezzlement in orange, the falsified reports in yellow. By the end of the second week, my timeline showed that Justin had been systematically looting Thompson Operations since the moment he took control. Every action was deliberate. Every transaction was intentional. This wasn't negligence. This was calculated theft. Then my phone rang. "Justin." I almost didn't answer. But I needed to hear his voice. I needed to know how desperately he was panicking. "Tiffany, we need to talk," he said, and I could hear the strain beneath his words. "I'm listening," I said calmly. "The company's in a small jam," Justin said carefully. "Nothing serious, but I need you to come back. Just for a week. Just to help me sort through some of the Q3 numbers." Small jam. He'd embezzled $540,000 and he called it a small jam. "I'm not coming back," I said. "Tiff, please. I made a mistake in that meeting. I was stressed, I wasn't thinking clearly. I shouldn't have talked to you like that. Can we fix this?" His voice cracked on the last word. Real fear. Real desperation. "No," I said quietly. "We can't. What do you want?" "Money. Promotion. Your job back. I'll give you anything, just please come back and help me fix this." I could have told him right then that I knew everything. That his empire was already crumbling. That his lies were documented and time-stamped and undeniable. Instead, I said, "Send me everything in writing. Every specific problem you need help with. Every number you're concerned about. Send it to my email. Then we'll talk." He agreed immediately, desperately, like a drowning man grabbing for a life raft. After we hung up, I sat in the silence of my apartment. He was about to write his own confession. The email arrived at 11 p.m. that night. Justin had written a novel. Page after page of explanations, excuses, and, most importantly, admissions. I might have delegated wrongly to some of the junior staff members. Some numbers might not be perfectly accurate, but it's not intentional. I just need someone I trust to help me clean this up before the auditors find anything. There it was. Delegated wrongly. Translation: I forged signatures and lied about it. I may have approved some shipments that didn't arrive, but I thought we were doing an inventory correction. If there's been an error, I need your discretion while I sort this out. Inventory correction. Translation: I committed fraud. And my favorite line: the company has been my life, and I've been trying to fix some of the inefficiencies you left behind. I need your help to make this right. Can we please just work together to resolve this quietly? For the family. For the family. He was asking me to cover up his theft to protect the family name. I forwarded every word to Catherine. This is perfect, she texted back. He's literally confessing via email. Don't respond. Just wait. The next morning, Justin called another family meeting. The conference room felt smaller than it had a month ago. Justin, Uncle Peter, Aunt Helen, and 3 cousins. No board members this time. Just family. Justin started soft. Tiffany, I owe you an apology for how I spoke to you in our last meeting. I was wrong. I was scared about some of the numbers in our recent reports, and I took it out on you. I said nothing, just listened. I'd like you to come back as co-manager, he continued. We can work together to straighten things out. It's what Dad would have wanted. Father. The man who'd built this company from nothing. The man Justin was now betraying. I have a question, Aunt Helen said, and I could hear the suspicion in her voice. If Tiffany is such dead weight, why are you suddenly desperate for her to come back? Justin's jaw tightened. I'm not desperate. I'm trying to rebuild our relationship. Then why did you call her 7 times in one day? Helen pressed. Why did you email her a 2-page explanation of financial problems? If everything's fine, why do you need discretion? Justin's eyes flashed anger. That's none of your. The conference room door opened. A woman in a business suit walked in. Stephanie, the Meridian CFO, flanked by a man in glasses carrying a folder. Justin's face went white. I'm sorry to interrupt, Stephanie said coolly, but we have a serious matter to discuss regarding fraudulent reports submitted to our company. Stephanie laid out the evidence methodically. The forged signatures. The fabricated inventory reports. The $180,000 in missing goods. Justin tried to blame me. Tiffany must have. Tiffany resigned the day before these discrepancies were discovered, Stephanie interrupted. And more importantly, she's provided us with documentation showing that she flagged concerns about your operations management 6 months ago. She recommended a full audit. Those concerns were ignored. 'Twas a lie. I'd never actually made those recommendations in writing. But Stephanie was smart enough to know that Justin's panic-stricken email had essentially confessed to everything anyway. Justin's voice rose. This is insane. You can't just come in here and accuse me. We're not accusing anyone, the man with the folder said calmly. We're reporting facts. Your authorization codes are on every fraudulent document. Your login credentials are on every unauthorized transaction. Justin turned red. Sweat beaded on his forehead. We'll need a full audit of Thompson operations, Stephanie concluded. And we'll be filing a report with the authorities. Uncle Peter stood up. Is this true, Justin? My brother looked at me. For one moment I thought he was going to break. To actually admit what he'd done. Instead he said, I want a lawyer. And in that moment I knew he was finished. The audit was announced 3 days later. The board decided that Justin would remain suspended during the investigation. Not fired. Not yet. Just suspended pending review. Justin spiraled. He called me 17 times. He texted apologies mixed with threats. He showed up at my apartment complex. I didn't let him in. He begged our cousins to intervene on his behalf. Nothing worked. 2 weeks into the audit, the preliminary findings were devastating. Missing inventory, $200,000. Unauthorized withdrawals, $340,000. Falsified reports, 43 documents. Forged signatures. All bearing my name, all verified as fraudulent. The auditors requested an interview with Justin. He refused. Demanded a lawyer first. Then demanded to see the evidence. Then demanded to know who reported him. And with every refusal, every demand, every delay, his position grew weaker. The auditors marked his behavior as active obstruction of investigation. In legal terms, that's a red flag that screams guilt. The board voted unanimously to suspend Justin pending criminal review. Not termination. Not yet. But suspension meant he had no authority. No access to company systems. No ability to influence the investigation or destroy evidence. When they told him, he called me. "You did this," he said, and his voice was barely recognizable. Broken. Desperate. "You destroyed me." "No," I said quietly. "You destroyed yourself. I'm going to lose everything, Tiffany. Everything. The house, the savings, my reputation. Our family will be destroyed by scandal. You should have thought about that before you forged my signature on 43 documents. I didn't think you'd actually leave. Thought you'd just take it. Like you always do." Those words hit something in me. A moment of clarity. He genuinely believed I'd roll over. That I'd protect him. That I'd sacrifice myself for the family business like I'd sacrificed myself for him. For our uncle, for everyone. He'd been wrong. The auditors interviewed me on a Tuesday afternoon. 3 women, all with identical expressions of professional sympathy mixed with skepticism. They started with the basics. My role, my tenure, my responsibilities. Then they moved to the hard questions. "Did you ever notice anything unusual about your brother's financial decisions?" The lead auditor, named Patricia, asked. "Yes," I said simply. "About 6 months ago, I noticed that shipments from our primary vendors weren't matching delivery confirmations. When I asked Justin about it, he told me I was being paranoid. That I needed to trust the system." "Did you report this concern?" I tried. Informally, to my uncle. He said Justin was just finding his footing and I should give him time. Patricia made a note. "Are you aware that your signature appears on 43 falsified documents?" "I am now. I never signed any of them." "Could someone have had access to a sample of your signature?" "Yes. My signature appears on hundreds of company documents. Justin would have had access to all of them." "Did you ever suspect your brother was forging your signature?" Pause. Considered lying. Considered saying I'd known all along. Instead, I told the truth. Not until Stephanie from Meridian called me the day after I resigned. That's when I realized what was happening. "And you resigned because..." "Because Justin told me I was dead weight and asked me to leave. I didn't know about the fraud at that time. The fraud was discovered after my resignation." Patricia nodded slowly. She believed me. "We'd like to request access to your personal records regarding these concerns you raised with your uncle. Emails, notes, anything you documented." "I don't have anything documented," I admitted. "I raised my concerns verbally. My mistake. But I wasn't making a mistake. I was telling the truth. And the truth was enough." When Justin learned I'd cooperated fully with the audit, he lost it. He arrived at Thompson Operations at 6 a.m. one morning, demanded access to his office, and when security refused, he screamed. Not a controlled rage. Not a calculated outburst. A genuine, unhinged meltdown. He threw his briefcase at a wall. Yelled obscenities at security. Threatened to sue the company, the auditors, and me personally. It took 3 security guards to escort him out. And it was captured on every security camera in the building. When the auditors reviewed the footage, they added aggressive obstruction and intimidation of witnesses to their findings. Justin wasn't just guilty of embezzlement anymore. Now he was guilty of trying to prevent the investigation through intimidation. That's when the board voted to terminate him permanently. He showed up at my apartment door on a Thursday night, and I almost didn't recognize him. Justin had always been meticulous. Perfectly groomed. Expensive clothes, expensive watch, expensive confidence. The man at my door looked like he'd been sleeping in his car. Eyes bloodshot, unshaven. Wearing the same polo shirt I'd seen him in 2 days earlier. "I'm not letting you in," I said through the door. "Please," he whispered. "Please just talk to me for 5 minutes." I opened the door but stayed in the doorway, keeping the chain lock engaged. He stood in the hallway and I could smell the desperation on him. Unwashed clothes, stale alcohol, fear. "The board fired me today," he said. "Completely. Terminated for cause. I have no severance, no reference, nothing. Tiffany, I'm ruined." I said nothing. "Mom's crying all the time. Dad's not speaking to me. Uncle Peter is talking about pressing charges. The bank is calling about the mortgage. I don't know what to do." "I can't help you," I said. "You're the only one who can. You could tell them this was a misunderstanding. You could say you forged the documents yourself, that I was just trying to protect you." "No." "Then what do you want?" "Money. Can pay you back. I can make this right." I looked at my brother, really looked at him. At the man who'd humiliated me in front of the entire company. At the man who'd stolen my identity through forged signatures. At the man who'd been willing to let me take the fall for his crimes. And I felt almost nothing. No anger. No satisfaction. Just emptiness. "I want you to face consequences for what you did," I said quietly. "That's all I want." "But, Tiffany, I'm done talking to you." "Close the door." Through the peephole, I watched him stand in the hallway for another 5 minutes. Just standing there, breathing, slowly breaking apart. Then he left. The next morning my lawyer called. "Justin wants to meet," Catherine said. "He's offering to confess to everything in exchange for a reduced sentence." His lawyer called my office asking if you'd consider testifying in his favor. "No," I said immediately. "I thought you'd say that. But he's also giving us something we didn't expect." "What?" "He's admitting that he framed you. That he forged your signatures deliberately. That he planned to blame you for everything once the audit came down. He's saying you resigned specifically because you discovered his theft and were going to report him. It wasn't true, but it was close enough." "Why is he confessing?" "Yes. Because he's terrified. Because his life is falling apart. And because he knows that if this goes to trial, we have enough evidence to destroy him completely. The confession makes things easier for everyone. Except me," I said. "Everyone already thinks I was involved." "Not for long," Catherine said. "We're releasing a statement to the media tomorrow outlining exactly what happened. Your resignation predates the fraud discovery. You cooperated fully with the audit. You have no financial connection to any of his crimes. And his own confession exonerates you completely." For the first time in weeks I felt something shift. Not relief exactly, but closure. The police called 3 days later. They wanted me to press charges. Forgery, fraud, embezzlement. They offered me a list of crimes Justin had committed against me personally. What if I refuse? Yes. Then the company can still press charges on the embezzlement and fraud counts. He'll face consequences. But the personal crimes, the forgery, the identity theft, those would go unprosecuted. I thought about what Catherine had said. "Do you want this to come out cleanly or poetically?" I'd chosen poetically. And poetically meant letting the justice system do its work. Letting the evidence speak. Letting Justin face the full weight of his actions. "Press charges," I said. "All of them." 3 weeks later the audit was complete. Thompson Operations had lost $540,000 to Justin's theft. An additional $200,000 in inventory was unaccounted for. And the company had been exposed to massive legal liability due to the falsified reports to Meridian Industries. The board called an emergency meeting. They offered Justin a choice. Resign immediately and face the criminal charges without dragging the family through a civil lawsuit, or fight everything and let the company be destroyed by legal costs and scandal. He resigned within an hour. Then the board did something I didn't expect. They called me. We'd like you to return, Uncle Peter said over the phone. His voice was small, tired. We made mistakes. We should have listened to your concerns. We should have protected you instead of believing Justin's lies. I'm not coming back, I said. Then what will it take to convince you? Nothing. Thompson Operations is dead to me. There was a long silence. What if we offered you a different position? He finally asked. Not operations manager. Something bigger. We'd like you to oversee restructuring. New systems. New staff. A chance to rebuild Thompson Operations the right way. I almost said no immediately. But then I realized something. Justin had tried to steal my future. If I walked away, I'd be letting him win. I want 3 things, I said. First, I want a public apology from the family for believing Justin's lies about me. Second, I want complete authority over all restructuring decisions, with no interference from the family. And third, I want a guaranteed bonus equal to the amount the company lost due to Justin's theft. For my 8 years of unpaid loyalty. That's $540,000. Yes. There was another long pause. We'll need to discuss that with the board. Then we don't have anything more to talk about, I said and hung up. 2 days later they called back. We accept all 3 conditions, Uncle Peter said. His voice had changed. Not humbled exactly, but aware, careful. And you'll announce the apology publicly? At the board meeting. Tomorrow. In front of the entire company. I felt something crystallize inside me. Not revenge. Not satisfaction. Just rightness. The restoration of balance. When do I start? Whenever you're ready. Took a breath. Monday. My first day back at Thompson Operations. I walked through the doors as head of structural restructuring and operations. The company was different now. Smaller. The trust was broken. The reputation was damaged. But it was still standing. And now it was mine to rebuild. I fired 2 managers who'd supported Justin. I promoted 3 junior staff members who'd flagged problems when they were ignored. I implemented new financial oversight systems with independent verification for every transaction. And I made it clear. From now on, every decision was documented, verified, and transparent. Within 3 months, Meridian Industries agreed to continue their contract with the company. Within 6 months, I'd rebuilt our vendor relationships and recovered $150,000 in disputed charges. Within a year, Thompson Operations was profitable again. And I was no longer the woman Justin had called dead weight. I was the woman who'd saved the family business from burning down. Justin's trial took 7 months. The evidence was overwhelming. His own emails. His authorization codes. His confessions. There was no defense. No appeal that could stand. He pleaded guilty to 14 counts of fraud, embezzlement, and forgery. The sentence: 4 years in federal prison. Before they took him away, he looked at me across the courtroom. For just a moment our eyes met. And I saw it then. The full understanding of what he'd lost. Not just his freedom. His reputation. His future. His place in the family. All of it gone. Because he'd decided to humiliate the one person who'd actually been holding everything together. 1 year after Justin was convicted, I stood on the rooftop of Thompson Operations' new downtown office building. The company had rebuilt. We'd expanded to 3 new contracts. We'd hired 30 new employees. And we'd become the kind of business that was known for integrity instead of scandal. My phone buzzed. A message from Catherine, my lawyer. Proud of you. You did this the right way. I thought about that first letter I'd written. The one Justin found on his desk chair the morning after he humiliated me. I hope you understand what you've just lost. He finally did. I looked out at the city. At the buildings we'd built, the trust we'd earned, the future we'd created from the ashes of his lies. And I smiled. Not because he'd suffered, but because I'd survived. Because I'd stood still when he expected me to panic. Because I'd waited for the right moment to stand. And because I'd never forgotten that the quiet ones aren't weak. We're just patient. And patience, it turns out, is the most powerful weapon of all.